Bleacher Report has an article up right now looking at the 10 best rosters in the NFL. And so when we look at this article on Bleacher Report, the 10 best rosters right now after early free agency ended and all the moves that have been made. This was posted, though, before the Jalen Waddle deal went through. So I'm guessing Denver is going to be somewhere on this list. I haven't looked at the full list yet. I know who number one is, so I'm going to be surprised. But this article is written before Denver landed Jalen Waddle. Number 10 on the list, the San Francisco 49ers. You and I have talked about the 49ers a lot in the last couple of days as having a great offseason, a great free agency run.
Yeah, and I think that, Brock Purdy missed time last year. Mac Jones had to come in and play. You add Mike Evans. They just added another wide receiver today. So you've got people that are going to come in here and play. The problem is health. Health for this team has always been an issue. I just mentioned Brock Purdy missed 9 games. Now, Mac Jones has been healthy and played well for them, and that's all well and good for the 49ers. You add Christian Kirk as another piece today for this offense, but the question for this team has always been health. They're still a great roster. Everybody thinks that 3 teams from the NFC West are going to make the playoffs. I still think they're a top 10 NFL roster like Bleacher Report does.
Number 9 on the list, on Bleacher Report's list of the best NFL rosters right now, the Los Angeles Chargers are number 9 with the moves that they've made here in the offseason. I did think at times they were going to do more on the offensive line than what they were able to accomplish, especially coming into the offseason with all of the cap space that they had. They were one of the 5 teams in the league that had the most available cap space. So the Chargers are number 9.
I agree with you. I wonder if that's going to be through the draft and they're just going to try to get younger on the offensive line, and that might help. Also, health on the offensive line. Guys were getting hurt on their offensive line, and that kind of led to a lot of the turnover. They had close to 30 different combinations on that offensive line, but they still have a good roster, again, when everyone's healthy. And you add Mike McDaniel coming in as an offensive coordinator, that should help a lot with what they do on offense. That doesn't really make a change to the roster, but it's how you use that roster that should help with what the Chargers are able to do.
Number 8 on the list, the Houston Texans. Their defense was incredible last year. And at quarterback, that's where the team fell apart in the playoffs. It was C.J. Stroud. The Texans still have the same offensive weapons coming back, same quarterback, and they have a lot of good players on defense. So the Texans come in at number 8.
Yeah, they added David Montgomery from the Lions, so you add a running back that can help and can alleviate some of the pressure off of C.J. Stroud. But the question's always going to be about C.J. Stroud and whether or not he's going to continue his precipitous fall from his rookie year. He just hasn't been the same. And he turns the ball over, he takes sacks, and he's the reason that they haven't made it as far as they can. That is a championship caliber defense. If C.J. Stroud plays any better than he did, that team could have easily made the Super Bowl last year with the way the NFC shook out last year.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Got the list of the 10 best NFL rosters according to Bleacher Report. Number 7, the Chicago Bears. Essentially a team that did nothing in free agency. Their defense was awful last season, and they've let 6 or 7 players who were starters on the defensive side go, which I would argue is good because their defense was bad. Although they haven't really replaced any of those players with anything of note outside of Kobe Bryant. That's it. The safety from Seattle. That was a big signing. Outside of that, the Bears haven't really done anything, and it feels like they're kind of taking a step back.
So you traded away DJ Moore. You got a second-round pick back, so you're going to be able to use that to add an edge rusher, add an offensive lineman, add whatever you want to. Like you said, you added Kobe Bryant, but you're right. Every day you're seeing different pieces from this defense going to other teams, and that's fine. They had one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They had one of the best defenses as far as turnovers go, but you and I broadcasting out of the city of Chicago said over and over again, you cannot rely on turnovers, and this team kept on relying on turnovers and proving us wrong until they weren't able to. And they ended up not making it as far as they could in the playoffs. They ended up getting beaten by the Rams and not moving on. I'm not upset by what they have gotten rid of. I'm more upset by what they haven't added. I don't think they should be ranked this high. If we were just ranking offensive rosters, sure. Like one side of the ball, but their defense hasn't proven anything to be ranked this high.
Well, and they haven't added enough.
Exactly. So I don't think, and maybe I'm being too critical of our team that we root for, but I don't think that the Bears have the 7th best roster in the NFL.
Well, it felt that way at the end of last season, but that idea was heading into the offseason. They're going to add, right? And then when your team kind of like treads water and kind of takes a step back in the offseason, it's like, oh, well, I mean, we were barely good enough to like win a lot of those games at the end of the year. A lot of that was last second heroics by a young quarterback. And if they don't have a great draft, I'm going to soften on my stance on the Bears being a playoff team next year. I already can tell that that's going to be because I think Minnesota is going to be better. Green Bay and Detroit are both good. It's going to be a really good division. And unfortunately, I think you and I were both hoping that this team would take a major step forward and be one of the like 3 or 4 teams in the NFC fighting for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the problem is the history with the Bears so far is they haven't drafted well on defense. They just haven't. And that's what you have to do this year.
So on the list, best rosters in the NFL, we talk about the Bears at 7. Number 6, the Detroit Lions. And I think the Detroit Lions this upcoming season will bounce back. They lost many games by 1 score last year, and that stuff usually tends to even out. And I think the Lions will be back towards the top of the standings next season in the NFC.
I think they dealt with a lot of injuries last year and all those guys coming back healthy. I think that when you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, when you've got Jahmyr Gibbs, when you've got Jamison Williams, those weapons for Jared Goff, like that's great. And they dealt with a lot of injuries on defense. So getting all those guys back, I would definitely put them on this list for sure.
We started this conversation saying that the Broncos trade for Jalen Waddle. We still don't have the Broncos on the list. All right.
Interesting.
Before the Waddle trade. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Number 5, Seattle. The Seahawks won the Super Bowl with a loaded defense. Sam Darnold played well at times, played well enough to win a Super Bowl. You had Kenneth Walker leave. You had many defensive players leave as well. So Seattle takes a little bit step back. They're still the 5th best roster in the NFL.
Okay, so here's what the article says. You lost Kenneth Walker, who was a Super Bowl MVP. You also lost Kobe Bryant, who we just talked about, signed with the Bears. You lost cornerback Reek Woolen. You also lost edge rusher Boye Mafe in free agency. And Charbonnet is coming back from a torn ACL. You haven't really replaced any of those players. So if you're going to do that in the draft and you assume that your defensive-minded head coach is going to be able to coach those guys up and it's just next man up and you'll be fine, then great. But as long as you think you're capable of that, then fine. But you haven't really found a way to replace all of the guys that you let walk in free agency. And that's the knock on the Seattle Seahawks right now.
Okay, top 4 rosters in the NFL. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. We got this list from Bleacher Report. Number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, A.J. Brown is still on the roster, but the Eagles are making moves around that. Hollywood Brown signs a 1-year deal today. And I think the Eagles always find a way to have a stacked roster. So Philly is at number 4. I would tend to lean towards this being a pretty good ranking.
Yeah, because you still have A.J. Brown, you still have Devontae Smith. Lane Johnson and Landon Dickerson are both coming back, even though they said they might retire. They're both coming back. Saquon Barkley's still there. That defense, even though they lost guys, is still stacked. The reason they were able to let guys go is because that defense is absolutely loaded. They can't afford to keep guys because the guys that they need to play, like Jalen Phillips, they traded for, they just let walk because that's fine. Let him walk. You have to pay other players, and that's fine. So, yeah, you're right. I think the Eagles definitely have a top 5 roster.
Number 3, Buffalo comes in on the list after they make the move to trade for a number 1 wide receiver in DJ Moore. So the Buffalo Bills, seemed like last year, we're only a player or 2 away. Obviously, Joe Brady is now the new head coach with Sean McDermott getting fired at the end of the season and getting all the blame from ownership. So Joe Brady takes over. The Buffalo Bills are number 3.
I think you add DJ Moore from the Bears. You sign Bradley Chubb to that defense. And I love Josh Allen. Obviously, to me, this is the best roster in the AFC. Best roster in the AFC to me.
So this list came out before the news that we got about an hour ago that Jalen Waddle was traded from Miami to Denver. The Denver Broncos come in at number 2 on this list for the best roster in the NFL right now. I'm guessing if we add in the Jalen Waddle move, you can make a pretty strong argument that the Denver Broncos have the best roster in football.
So here's what it says. They only lost defensive lineman John Franklin Myers, backup safety P.J. Locke, and linebacker Drake Greenlaw, who played 8 games in the previous year.
Yeah, Greenlaw went back to San Francisco, I think.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. And Raj, who is out of Denver right now, diehard Broncos fan, told us the entire offensive line is coming back. They just added Jalen Waddle, even though this came out before Jalen Waddle. You're getting Bo Nix back. They had a great offensive line. They had a great defensive line. They have great weapons. It is a stacked roster. I think the only issue for me having this roster ranked this high is Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Bo Nix. And I don't like if you just flip the two, that's fine with me. Just flip the two. I wouldn't have a problem with the Broncos being third. I would probably put them third because Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Bo Nix.
And the number 1 team on the list, the Los Angeles Rams. So the Rams are the number 1 team, the number 1 roster in the NFL right now, according to Bleacher Report. At this point in free agency, before the draft, the Rams come in at number 1.
I mean, come on. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, you add Trent McDuffie. They still have the 13th overall pick in the NFL draft. Like, you're going to add a stud player there, too. I mean, what else do you want from this team? They were one of the best teams in the NFL last year. They barely missed out on going to the Super Bowl by losing to the Seahawks. And I expect them to go to the Super Bowl this year. They're going all in with Matthew Stafford and what we all think is going to be his last year. I love the Rams. Like, they should be number 1.
So that's the list from Bleacher Report on the NFL after free agency, who are the best rosters in the NFL. I don't think there's a lot of surprises there. I do think there are 2 teams that jump out at me that are taking a step back from what we thought they were at the end of the season. One, it's very obvious. The Seattle Seahawks. You can never keep everyone back together, right? Like the concept of sustaining success in the NFL is you let those free agents go and you replace them with young players in the draft. So we'll see if Seattle can draft and develop, which they have in the past. So I would be led to believe that they're going to be able to accomplish that moving forward. And Chicago. I thought Chicago had a chance to make some moves in the offseason that could propel them into the conversation we're having with Philadelphia and the Los Angeles Rams in the conference. But they really haven't done anything to date here in this offseason. Kind of like up until this morning, how Raj felt about the Broncos. They haven't signed anyone.
Yeah.
Except today they have a big splash and they land a big player. So there are teams going for it who are close, who are making moves to try and win now, and that's the Broncos. You see the Bills, the Eagles at some point will trade A.J. Brown. So there's a lot of movement at the top of the board of teams who are really good, close to winning a Super Bowl.
I'm surprised that you're surprised because you think that the Ravens are the best team in the AFC.
Yeah.
They only got an honorable mention in this article.
Well, I get the point. I wouldn't put the Chargers or the Texans ahead of Baltimore, but I do understand Denver and Buffalo. I think they're on par.
Yeah, yeah.
But on the
list.
But
not putting them in the top 10?
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but it's also someone else's opinion. It's a Bleacher Report opinion.
I get it.
My opinion would have Baltimore ahead of Houston and Los Angeles.
Okay.
The Chargers, that is.
Yeah.
And I think that would make a lot of sense as you look at it. If you want to join the show, you can call us at 310-840-4910.